Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is our Prophets of Awakening. This is our reading through the TANAK segment for the night. So the 16th of August, 2023. We'll be dealing with the book of Jeremiah for the next couple of weeks. So if you want to go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening, check out our videos. We have a lot of information given in the videos, and they'll connect dots for you and lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures, so-called Old Testament, and the Torah. If you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And for those that want to support the channel, you can see our Cash App at the bottom of the screen. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. And by that, I mean we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament. That was the books of the law that was given to Moses. Shalom and welcome. Welcome to our reading through the Tanakh. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms, do some current events, and we'll open it up for we'll do some need to know information, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A. And then we'll go into our topic. Okay? This moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongs unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face, and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David and Solomon and Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad, for we know you possess the power to turn us. When we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments and your testimony, your statutes with all our heart and soul, and to perform the words of this covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay? So with that being said, I'm going to read a song. Okay? Okay, I'm going to read Psalms 116. It's a praise for deliverance from death. I love the Lord because he hath heard my voice and my supplication, because he has inclined his ear unto me. Therefore will I call upon him as long as I live. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the pains of hell gat hold of me, and I found trouble and sorrow. Then called I upon the name of the Lord. O Lord, I beseech thee, deliver my soul. Gracious is the Lord, and righteous. Yea, our God is merciful. The Lord preserveth the simple. I was brought low, and he helped me. Return to thy rest, O my soul, for the Lord hath dealt bountifully with me. For thou hast delivered my soul from death, mine eyes from tears, and my feet from failing. I will walk before the Lord in the land of the living. I believe, therefore, have I spoken. I was greatly afflicted. I said in my haste, all men are liars. But shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits to reward me? I will take the cup of salvation and call upon the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows unto the Lord now in the presence of all his people. Precious is in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. O Lord, truly I am thy servant. I am thy servant, and the son of thine handmaiden. Thou hast loosed my bounds. I will offer to thee the sacrifice of thanksgiving, and I will call upon the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows unto the Lord now in the presence of all his people, in the courts of the Lord's house, in the midst of thee, O Jerusalem, praise ye the Lord. So that was Psalm 116, okay? And it was a praise for deliverance from death, okay? The verse that stuck out to me was 14 and 18. It says, I will pay my vows. We talked about this before. My vows unto the Lord now in the presence of his enemies, in his presence of his people. Then he repeated again in verse 18, I will pay my vows unto the Lord now in the presence of his people. So when they have these feast, high feast days, and Israel all come together and they in the temple and they praising the Lord, he said at that point, the psalmist that wrote that said he's going to pay his vows to the Lord. So those are vows or commitments that you make. And we do that on a daily basis, but not understand that it's a vow. We get in trouble, get in the bind, and we pray to the Most High, find somewhere to pray to him and make all these promises that if he do this or that, you're going to do this. And no sooner than your troubles go away or he fixes your trouble or he fixes the problem, then you go on back to what you're doing, not understanding that you just made a vow to the Lord. And that's a big thing to do to the Lord, because when you make a vow and then you don't stick to that vow, trouble coming. Okay. Any comments? Okay. Got some current events here.
And China's taken over. And China, I heard a couple of people say, well, the dollar will never lose the dollar standard. Are they kidding? China wants to change the standard, the currency standard. And if that happens, that's like losing a world war.
Why is it necessary for us to buy things from Djibouti and pay in dollars? Why? There's no reason. And we are not against the US dollar. We just want to trade much more freely. Let us pay in US dollars what we are buying from the US. But what we are buying from Djibouti, let's use local currency.
All right, we have more changes unfolding in the global financial system, changes that have the future of the US dollar and its influence around the world beginning to teeter. This is no longer in the realm of fantasy or speculation, but actually happening, and happening much, much faster than analysts had thought was possible, at least according to this new JP Morgan report they published yesterday, intended as a warning to their clients of the sudden progress these countries are making, countries like China, Russia, Iran, in moving this project forward. So how likely is it that this happens? How much longer will it take? And what can we do to prepare for the fallout? Well, we're going to cover all of this and the timeline as well that JP Morgan puts forward toward the end of the video. So make sure to stick around for that. But before we get started, if you're not already a subscriber in this channel, consider subscribing. It helps the channel out, and I appreciate your support. So the Forex markets and the US dollar, let me just say, folks, 6 months ago, I would have said that all of this chatter and speculation about the end of the dollar's hegemony was overhyped, over-exaggerated, and extremely unlikely to succeed, at least anytime soon. And the reason's simple, right? Which currency could possibly step up as a replacement? Crickets, none. The yuan, give me a break, right? No other currency has anywhere near the reach nor the strength as the USD does. And as much as China would like to dethrone us, it's not possible right now. There's just too few yuan and too much risk for the Chinese to begin circulating their currency around the globe. They rely on a tight circle of friends, folks. Closed down, hunkered down distribution. But that may be changing, and not in the way that you think, not in a dethroning of the USD per se, but
Overpriced filler and marketing hype don't improve supplements, so stop paying for them. With
hegemony, thought out and deliberate, exacerbated by the war in Ukraine, creating this massive opportunity, or possibly even a purposeful and strategic goal by Russia all along. And to show how serious this is becoming, a report was just published by JP Morgan, one of the largest banks on the planet, right, warning about de-dollarization and the waning influence of the US dollar. The report's titled Oil Dumps the US Dollar. Now, we're going to go into this and look at what they found, the surprising impact it's already having, and how much longer this will take, how much longer before, all of us normal people, normal Americans begin feeling the effects. But before we go into this, just like stop for a minute and realize how extraordinary this is. 1 year ago, 6 months ago even, this would have been unheard of, unimaginable to see America's largest bank, or really any financial media for that matter, writing about this, let alone warning about the very real possibility of the end of the global reserve currency. The implications are serious, right? Could change a whole host of things. For example, the way that Congress approves spending, massive spending cuts, changes to our politics in general, and the promises of more government spending, but along with a wave of possible credit rating downgrades of U.S. government debt, which would have untold damage. And because of that, it's not worth getting into all of those things in this video. It's just too early to speculate about. But what we're going to focus on is what's happening right now, which is surprisingly a lot. Now, to understand how this is all unfolding, realize there's certain levers that give the dollar its power. First and foremost is the global commodity markets, how they are structured and how they've been structured for years. And above all, the oil market. You're probably familiar with the petrodollar. If you're not, it refers to the currency used to buy and sell oil around the globe. All commodity transactions, and specifically sales of oil, are done using, or were done using, the US dollar, the petrodollar. And when that lever fails, when countries stop agreeing to play by our rules, it's like dominoes, right? Once the first two countries stop, the next sees it's possible, and the next, and so on and so forth. And that's exactly what's begun transpiring. Now, here's what JP Morgan says is happening. Here's what they write. A structural shift is observed in the global energy markets now, where big buyers of energy can now buy at discounts from sanctioned Russia, Iran, and Venezuela, countries that combined represent close to 20% of the global oil exports. Venezuela, by the way, was on the U.S. sanctions list for years until a few months ago when the Biden administration removed them after pissing off Saudi Arabia, and now has the U.S., all of us, buying oil from Venezuela directly. They go on. Crucially, Russian oil is now either sold in the local currencies of the buyers or in currencies of countries that Russia perceives as friendly. In short, the US dollar, one of the key drivers of global oil price, appears to be losing its once powerful influence. And realize this just started happening like recently. The Russians, Chinese have been trying to do this for over 15 years, but made little progress until 2022. Over the last 10 months, it's been like a cascading effect. Country after country are choosing to just bypass the dollar completely. And in this report, they actually show a timeline of how things have been progressing. It's pretty amazing how China's and Russia's progress has progressed. It's stunning. We'll look at that in a minute, but first, check this out. They write, crucially, Russian oil exported eastward and southward is now either sold in the local currencies of the buyers or in currencies of countries that Russia perceives as friendly. Regardless, it is no longer sold in US dollars. The trend started in 2014 when Russia was feeling the pressure from sanctions after the annexation of Crimea, but it accelerated in 2022, which saw a large and growing proportion of energy being priced in non-US dollar denominated currencies. For example, some Indian refiners from India have reportedly begun paying for most of their Russian oil purchase from Dubai-based traders in UAE currency, United Arab Emirates. Other Indian refiners are considering paying for Russian crude in yuan. This de-dollarization trend in the commodity trade is a boon for the countries like India, China, Brazil, Thailand, and Indonesia, which can now not only buy oil at a discount, but pay for it with their own local currencies. This reduces the need for precautionary reserves of US dollars, US treasuries, and oil, which in turn might free capital to be deployed in growth-boosting domestic projects. This is another tailwind, by the way, for higher yields. But on top of all of this, to boil it down, what's happening is a growing momentum of both adversaries and allies and U.S. allies coming together to dethrone us, eliminate the dollar as the middleman between transactions. It's like a multi-pronged attack, folks, happening in real time. For example, Saudi Arabia, one of our closest and longest allies in the Middle East, now despises this administration and decided to help Russia and China do this. And once they flipped, it was almost impossible to put the genie back in the bottle, because with Saudi Arabia on board, China and Russia were able to bring them together with their Middle Eastern allies, countries like Saudi Arabia, or countries that Saudi Arabia historically were aligned against, like Iran and Syria, who were also, by the way, two oil behemoths, all now working together, something our State Department is fervently opposed to, by the way. JP Morgan writes, furthermore, the geopolitical risk premium is also being taken out of the oil price given the restart of diplomatic relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia and Syria's readmission into the Arab League. All of this coordinated behind the scenes, folks. It doesn't stop there, though. The reason why U.S. hegemony persisted for so long was because of multiple levels of power to enforce the current regime, the U.S. dollar. One of them was Saudi Arabia. The other was the Western Bloc, the EU willing to go along with the United States to enforce sanctions on countries that stepped out of line. European Union makes up a large block of global oil demand. Because of that, nobody risked the backlash and the loss of business. But according to JP Morgan, that's also changing. Check this out. This table shows the breakdown of announcements made by countries to stop settling commodity contracts in dollars. We have Venezuela, China, Australia even, India, Turkey, Ghana, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Brazil, Pakistan. Just last week, India, they announced that they are now considering paying for Russian crude in the Chinese yuan. And like we said a minute ago, the first lever of power already fell. That being Saudi Arabia. The next is the EU. And if you think that that's not possible that Europe will end up ditching the US, well, take a listen to this video.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I was diagnosed with
Group that represents over a quarter of the world's GDP, more than 40% of the world's population. Its members are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now, more countries want to join. Egypt has formally applied. Others from Asia, Africa, and Latin America are also in the queue. But now there's been a surprising knock on the BRICS door. France. President Emmanuel Macron wants a slice of the action. He wants an invite to the upcoming BRICS summit in South Africa in August.
So it appears to be happening, where there's this whirlwind of support around the world of countries wanting to change the global order. Even our friends, folks, are now believing it's been far too long with the U.S. in the driver's seat, reaping all the reward because realize the only benefit to a U.S. reserve currency is to the U.S. economy. All other countries bear negative effects. They need to spend a lot more resources to always have a large reserve of dollars on hand to settle transactions. And because of that, the U.S. has been able to export its domestic inflation abroad, allowing us to spend these trillions of dollars over our means and not experience crippling inflation like any other country would. You know, we spread our dollars all over the world. Well, countries are sick of it, folks. The overuse of sanctions over the decades and after the Ukraine war, going full bore on Russia's economy like we did. Even our friends, our allies, are considering new alliances to take down U.S. hegemony. So who will dethrone the U.S. dollar? Will it be China's yuan? Will that become the new reserve currency? Doubtful. It's even doubtful that China would want it to be. There's just too few yuan in circulation. They don't want their currency held by so many people the way that the dollar is. It just opens them up to liabilities, which a country like China is most likely scared of. They like to keep things in the family, close society as much as possible, which is why they probably are pushing, them and Russia are pushing this new BRICS member currency, a global currency they call it, which they say is going to be backed by gold, which sounds interesting. So, you know, it's still way too early to know what's going to come of that, but it appears this train is moving forward, and there's little that the Americans can do at this point to stop it. All right.
Okay. Any comments on that? Yeah, like I said, should be getting all your ducks in a row. Okay. Got another one right here. They those white folks did it again. Okay. Check it out.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Emma. Thanks so much for tuning into the African Diaspora News Channel. We have another Karen. This Karen is located in the town of Barrie, Ontario, and she assaulted a sister who owns a business in that town. I'm going to roll the clip and then we'll talk about it.
Another racist TANAK was caught on video in Ontario.
Start something! What? Serious? Are you here? Yes, are you? Yes! Why? Why? Are you
A black female business owner was allegedly punched in a racist and hate-motivated attack in Barrie.
Get her license plate number. Oh, you're relevant, Brett, because we got them too. Bye. Bye. Hi. Oh, I just got punched in the head. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Hi, I was just assaulted outside my facility.
So what you didn't see in this video is that Shanika Edwards is her name, was punched twice in the head by this white supremacist. Now, Shanika owns a community center. It's called Shaq's World, which stands for Stay Humble and Kind. And it's a facility for youth to play basketball, any other sports that they're involved with, or any of the arts like dance or acting, singing, etc. She was actually opening her door to go in, and this racist was yelling out of her car, "How are you employed and open when there are so many white women here that cannot get jobs?" And she continued to yell racial slurs. And what Shanika did was she just ignored her and she assumed that she would just drive away. Instead, she stopped her car and got out. And that's when she ran up on her and punched her twice in the head. The other white ladies that you see that were trying to shield and protect her, you heard her being the racist, yelling out, "Are you a Nazi? Are you a Nazi?" Because she was defending the Black woman. So subsequently, she was charged, and she's a 30-year-old woman. They never revealed her name, but she was charged with assault. As far as whether or not she did jail time, there's no further reports about it. I definitely will keep an eye on that to see what eventually happened. As for Shanika, she remains open. She did say that she still feels traumatized by it and is also shocked, which to me is shocking that she's actually shocked about it, because in the town she lives in, just to give you some demographics, the amount of white people that live there is 87%. The amount of minorities is 7.6%. And they have not even broken out the minorities. They just labeled it minorities. So that can be Asian, South Asian people. So really and truly, it could be way less than 7.6%. It could be 3% or 4% of Black people. So racism would be high up there. So it's unfortunate that this happened to her. And the other thing I also want to mention is this narrative of go back to your country. What country? A lot of us were actually born and raised here, including Shanika Edwards. She was born and raised in Ontario. So this is her country. So this narrative of go back to your country is ridiculous, white supremacists. It's not your country either.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody heard anything about that?
Shalom, everyone.
Okay.
No, I haven't. That's the first I've heard of that. Oh man.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Okay.
these white supremacists put hands on Black businesswoman. That's the name of the video.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. So they're not gonna stop until it's gonna be a global ass whooping. They ain't gonna stop until it's all out. Just like we the spread with George Floyd. They're gonna keep poking the bear until they're gonna get what they want on a global stage. Okay? Here goes some need to know information.
What's going on, everybody? It is Dr. Tawana Worlds coming by real quick to disrupt for just a bit. Did y'all see how people pull up by the droves down there in Montgomery, Alabama? Boy, what that a sight to see. Look at here. Listen here, little children. I'm saying, if we can come together like that, unified, on a united front financially, boy, we will shut this mother down. Anyhow, I don't want y'all to be distracted by what took place down there and all these things that they put before us to keep us distracted. But shout out to my people, for real. We thinking differently in this hour, and we ain't doing all of that no more. Nevertheless, this is of utmost importance, because while we was focused on that, this what was going down.
When kids are fed, futures are nourished.
Not being hungry.
Help kids get meals and
And Russia had 11 warships spotted on our territory. 11 warships. I wonder what they was doing, y'all. Why they had us distracted and making memes with chairs and all of this. We was on the brink of war. We still don't know what's popping off. This is what we should be paying attention to right now. And this.
Australia is slowly shifting towards being cash-free. More than $1 billion worth of notes have disappeared from circulation in the past 12 months. Follows the Commonwealth Bank's decision to start trialling cashless branches across Sydney. Economists say a cashless society will hurt criminals on the black market, but will make life more difficult for the elderly who rely on notes and coins.
See, that man just said they slowly shifting away from cash. But why is that of significance for us? Because the same things that happened to them before it was just laid on them is what's happening to us. Missing deposits from the banks. 4 banks in Australia just took people's money, bailed out, bounced out. They gone. Now they're into a cashless society. Well, what do you have it? Bank of America just did this no more than a month ago. Now Wells Fargo is following pursuit, as well as JP Chase Morgan. I hope we can come together like our cousins down there in Alabama did this past weekend financially. That's all I'm saying. Because if we don't, this is where we headed, family.
We're developing.
Check him out.
Through technology. We're developing through technology an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So individual carbon footprint trackers. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
So they're telling us we're developing something that'll track you animals. And look at this cat.
We all like to talk on Bill Gates. Why is he buying up all the farmland in the United States? He was about 242,000 acres of farmland in the United States, and that's a lot of farmland. During COVID, China bought up about the same amount of farmland in the United States. Let's to control the food supply. If you're buying up the best farmland in the world in the middle of America and some of the best soil in America, what are the intentions? Now, Bill Gates is also one of the biggest investors in fake meat products. You have all the fake meat commodities that are being introduced into the supermarkets. I believe that's a distraction. Well, let's look at protein and how they're inserting it in most of our products as well. So they're trying to take animal protein out of our consumption model, turn it into something that's grown and produced in the labs.
No. See, that's where they're going to put on with it. Okay? I need y'all to come up over here real quick. I need you to see something. That's why I showed up. I need to show you how to get something so we can make moves and we can be united together financially so that we don't go down this path with these demons. Hold up. I want y'all to see how easy it is to make money anywhere. 6-figure money anywhere, from anywhere.
Is it still available? Yeah. Is it the normal size or is it an oversized? You can do 24.
6-month course that I can sell for $497, where you ain't gotta have no involvement. You can actually get this done in 1 hour and have you a whole course, a whole ebook, have you some digital assets to run.
Okay, so yeah, so the information that she's putting out was that they had 11 warships around the same time last weekend when that was going on in Alabama. They had 11 Russian warships and I think 4 or 5 Chinese ships in Alaska. And keep in mind, Hawaii was on fire too. So some major getting ready to go down. Anybody heard anything about that?
Yes, sir, I did. I heard about that. They're talking about everything else except for that. They didn't, that's not all over the news, but I did watch it through YouTube.
Right, nobody mentioned that, huh?
Right, exactly.
Okay, so we're going to open it up now for some questions, comments. Anybody got anything they want to share that they came across or something they heard on in classes we want to talk about?
Shalom, everyone. I just wanted to mention that today I also ran across a video about the fires that are happening in Africa. Also, that they're not talking about. They're just speaking of the ones that are in Hawaii or, on the West Coast or something like that. Not talking about the fires that they're battling in Africa also.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I got one more video right here. We're going to the topic. Reading out of Jeremiah.
Here. Hope you're doing well. If you are new to this channel, I am about to give you a warning that
all these are warnings
just declared. And I'm going to talk about things happening in the economy right now that are happening more than likely without your understanding or knowledge. And it's very vital that you listen to this video because banks, financial institutions, and billionaires are all sounding the alarm bells that there is a collapse around the corner, much greater than the Great Recession. And people need to wake up to this. Right now, our country is at all-time record levels of debt when it comes to student loan debt, which already over 56% of people polled that have student loan debt say that when they have to start repaying their debt, which has never happened before in history, where you were allowed, all of the people that had student loan debt were allowed to take time off. 56% of them say they do not believe they are going to be able to keep paying all of their bills. They are going to have to actually choose between paying electricity or their student loan debt, their car payment or their student loan debt. That's never happened. We have all-time record credit card debt just cresting over $1 trillion. Why? Because people don't have enough money to make ends meet with less employment because people are underemployed. Everyone may have a job that wants a job, but they're not getting full employment and the money they need. So Credit cards are taking up that spot until they can't. And then we also have all-time record high mortgage debt. Now, Bank of America's warning is very serious because it tells of a certain class of people that you may not find yourself in. You may find yourself under this class. And so this should be very scary for you. Even though many people would love to point the fingers and say those rich people are getting what's coming to them. I want you to understand that if the wealthier people, the upper middle class, or just the middle class get squeezed, that destroys the wealth in our country and we move into a depression. This is very serious. Also, I want to state that there are lots of economists coming out now and saying that since because of housing costs are so expensive, not only the interest rate, which is about to hit 8%, I believe in the near future over the next 8 weeks, I believe that you're going to see a continued price increases in home insurance, the cost of the home, because so few homes are being sold, and the panic buyers are doing exactly that. They're panicking, so they're bidding it up and getting into longer term debt, like a 40-year mortgage. Yep, that's a thing now. And you're seeing much more higher costs, and what's going to happen is that squeeze is going to turn into a bigger crash. As a matter of fact, experts say that it takes an annual income between a married couple right now of around $117,000 to be able to not only afford the basic cost of living, but a median home price. All right? This is how serious this gets. So here is the story from Bank of America, and everybody that understands what I'm trying to do, smash the thumbs up button. Thank you. And if you're new to this and it hits you in your gut, share the video, please, because this is important. We're all in this together. The only way we're going to become successful is if we take advantage of something that is unstoppable. This is a freight train crash that is unstoppable. It says here, this is out of Fortune magazine, the rich session. So instead of recession, we're talking about the rich session is real. Unemployment is rising for the 6-figure salary set. Bank of America data shows. It says people making $125,000 and more are getting laid off faster, thank you, Tyler, than anyone else, in a reversal of the typical recession playbook. And there is nothing typical about this recession. It is so untypical that the President of the United States decided it would be a good idea to change the definition of the word recession. If you did not know about that, please type 1 in the comments. If you knew about that definition change, type 2. And I'm pretty sure that anybody following this channel for some time knows that that is the case. That has not happened. Why did the White House do that? Because the president and the White House know that the second you see the word recession over and over on the news or on the TV, talked about every day in front of you, it's on the newspapers, what is the number one thing you do? You slow your spending. You curb your spending, because what happens is you've now just been hit with the truth, the blaring facts. The gross domestic product has dropped 2 consecutive quarters in a row. We have a problem, NASA, or Houston, we got a problem. It's time to curb spending. And that right now is exactly what the government is trying to stop. They want you to spend like it's 1999. They do not want you knowing that we are headed towards the greatest collapse since the great crash of 1929. Which I want you to understand was started and it was caused by wild money printing through the 20s because of a depression in 1920. And guess what? A pandemic, a flu pandemic. Do me a favor, type the number 3 if you make less than $125,000 in your household. Type 4 if you make more. Now, the reason why I say this is because I want, and I'm pretty sure I know, that we're going to see more 3s than 4s. And this isn't a, hey, I want to make more, life is all choices, right? And, I could have went and graduated college and made more. Well, probably not really. I'm an investor. So I guess I'm a different type of person. But that's what I'm looking for in you. I want to find different type of people that think. I said, well, I don't know what you're bragging about. You're one of the highest earners in the country. You're not the 1%, but you're darn close. And they got extremely angry. Like, you don't understand. We have problems too. Like what? You're like, you got to go all over the country for your kids' soccer games? I don't feel sorry for you. I don't care. You make tons of money. As a matter of fact, you've made twice as much, or more than twice as much, 3 times as much actually, than I've ever made my entire life in my career for wages. Thank you, Ben. And I want you to understand what I just said to them. They made more than 3 times a year in wages than I've ever made my entire life. And they are dirt, broke, poor. They don't own one thing in their life. And they got furious with being angry. Now, when this happened, this was about 7, 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. They were close to the 1% highest earners in the country, $350,000. That number has now actually went up to 600. But you need to understand.
Okay, so what the guy is saying is, bottom falling out. It's not the lower class, but it's the upper class people. So if they catching hell, you imagine what's going to happen to the people that's under them. And it's like I said, I keep on saying it. It's already started. You know, that's what everybody should be focused on, but you know they're not. Any comments? Okay. Like I said, I'll be reading out of the book of Jeremiah. I'm gonna keep reading it every Tuesday night or Wednesday night until we try to complete the whole book, because it's important. Everything that's going on in Jeremiah is pretty much we can use it as a template for what's going on now. So we pick it up, start reading. And then, Jeremiah. Okay, it says chapter 1. It says the words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests that were in Antioch in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of the Lord came in the days of Josiah, the son of Amon, king of Judah, in the 13th year of his reign. It came also in the days of Joachim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, unto the end of the 11th year of Zedekiah, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, unto the carrying away of Jerusalem captive in the 5th month. So this is so Jeremiah was used to prophesy to the Israelites that they were going into to captivity in Babylon, because of they was in disarray with the Lord of hosts. Okay. Verse 4. Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of thy womb, I sanctified thee and ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Okay. Then said I, Lord God, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. But the Lord said unto me, say not I am a child, for thou shalt go to all that I shall send thee, and whatever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Okay. Thou shalt speak. Then the Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth, and the Lord said unto me, behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out, pull down, and destroy. Okay? Pull down and destroy, and to throw down and to build and to plant. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Jeremiah, what seest thou? And I said, I see a rod of an almond tree. Then said the Lord unto me, thou hast well seen, for I will hasten my word to perform it. And the word of the Lord came unto me the second time, saying, what seest thou? But I said, I see the seething pot, and the face thereof is toward the north. Then the Lord said unto me, out of the north an evil shall break forth upon all the inhabitants of the land. Okay. For lo, I will call all the families of the kingdoms of the north, said the Lord, and they shall come, and they shall set every one his throne at the inner end of the gates of Jerusalem, and against all the walls thereof round about, and against all the cities of Judah. And I will utter my judgment against them, touching all their wickedness, who have forsaken me, and have burned incense to other gods, and worship the works of their own hands. Thou therefore gird up thy loins, and arise, and speak unto them all that I command thee, Be not dismayed at their faces, lest I confound thee before them. For behold, I have made thee this day a defense city, and an iron pillar, and a brazen wall against the whole land, against the kings of Judah, against the princes thereof, and against the priests thereof, and against the people of the land. And they shall fight against thee, but they shall not prevail against thee, for I am with thee, said the Lord, to deliver thee. So let's look at this and put it in what I just read in real time. So he says right here that nation, northern kingdom, which is Judah, Benjamin, Levi, they turn from the Lord. They're doing all manner of wickedness, doing their own thing. Okay, and so let's look at what happened. Okay, because we know the Lord host is the judge. He's overseeing. He's the one that comes to judge. He's the one who brought the flood, all that. So it says in verse 13, the word of the Lord came unto me the second time, saying, what seest thou? And I said, I see a seething pot, and the face thereof is toward the north. Then the Lord said unto me, out of the north, and evil shall break forth upon all the inhabitants of the land. For lo, I will call, this is the Lord of hosts talking, I will call all the families of the kings of the north, said the Lord, and they shall come, and they shall set everyone in his throne at the inner end of the gates of Jerusalem, and against all the walls thereof round about, and against all the cities of Judah. So let's look at this right quick. So I want to show you this. I gotta fast forward into the book of Jeremiah, but you need to know this. The Lord said that in 14, then the Lord said unto me, out of the north, and evil shall break forth upon all inhabitants of the land. For lo, I will call all the families of the kingdoms of the north, said the Lord, and they shall come, and they shall set everyone his throne at the inner end of the gates of Jerusalem. So he's saying this is how you're gonna know it's him. They're gonna come to the gates of Jerusalem and set their thrones up right there in the gate. So let's look at it. So he keeps saying over and over again how he said something, he performed it, he bring it to pass, right? So let's look at it. I mean, the fall of Jerusalem. This was Jeremiah prophesied. The Lord had told him to tell the Israelites what I just read. And this one came to pass right here. Jeremiah 39. In the 9th year of Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the 10th month, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, all his army against Jerusalem, and they besieged it. Here you go right here. And in the 11th year of Zedekiah, in the 4th month, the 9th day of the month, the city was broken up. Here you go. This is the prophecy being fulfilled. And all the princes of the king of Babylon came in, sat in the middle gate. Even there you go. Like I told you, 7 of them, 7 princes, just like the Lord of hosts got. It says, and it came to pass, that's the prophecy. It came to pass that when Zedekiah, king of Judah, saw them, he saw them because Jeremiah had told him over here, they gonna come here and they're gonna set up in the middle of the gate. So like I was saying before, these folks don't know nothing about no prophecy. They don't understand prophecy. They all off on some more stuff. It's the Israelites. They got the understanding and looking in the right direction because the Spirit of God is on them. But anyway, you see that it's happening word for word. So we also know that he prophesied he's gonna raise us out of our graves. So just like this happened, word for word, that's gonna happen, word for word. Okay. And then so then we keep going. Verse 16, Jeremiah 1 and 16. And I will utter my judgment against them, touching all their wickedness, who have forsaken me and have burnt incense unto other gods. This is why they're doing it. So look at what's going on now in America. And look what the man just told us. The sister just told us. 11 warships. 11 warships is there. We fumbling out doing some more stuff, but 11 warships. Just like he called Nebuchadnezzar and all the kings of the north to come to deal with Jerusalem, he got some folks he gonna call to come here. Because what we doing here is 10 times, 100 times more wicked than what they was doing. And there's way more people. So just like he called them then, it's the same God. It ain't Jesus. Same God that called Nebuchadnezzar. He got somebody he gonna call to come shut this place down. Right? So it says 17. Though therefore gird up thy loins. So you know, like I said, you're thinking like a Hebrew, you take this serious. Though therefore gird up thy loins and arise and speak unto them all that I command thee. Be not dismayed at their faces, lest I confound thee before them. For behold, I have made thee this day a defense city and an iron pillar and a brazen up a wall against the whole land. Against, check it out. You want to know who the suffering servant is, right? Check it out. And the brazen walls against the whole land, against the kings, that's the princes, and against the princes thereof, and the priests, see that? Thereof, and against the people of the land. There go your suffering servant right there. The king, his seed line, and the prince, Aaron's seed line, the priests, and the Levites. They're the ones that's responsible for the sin. Okay? In the comments, that was chapter 1 of Jeremiah. Okay? Go read chapter 2. Okay, it says, moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, go and cry in the ears of Jerusalem, saying, thus saith the Lord, I remember thee, the kindness of thy youth, the love of thy espousal, when thou went after me in the wilderness, in the land that was not sown. Israel was holiness unto the Lord, and the first fruits of his incense, of his increase. All that devour him shall offend. Evil shall come upon them, said the Lord. So let's look at this. So the so-called New Testament says that the law, which is the Torah that was given to Moses, it was never intended to be kept. The Israelites never kept it. So that's the reason JC had to come, because so the law was nothing but a schoolmaster. You know what I'm saying? School teacher. You know, a school teacher only teach for so long, then they have to retire and go into retirement, right? So we say these Gentiles, Europeans, and Esau say the law, the TANAK, the Torah, was a schoolmaster for JC. It's only gonna last so long. Then JC came. But look what the Most High says right here, Jeremiah. Go and cry in this chapter 2, Jeremiah 2:2. Go and cry in the ears of Jerusalem, saying, thus saith the Lord. Check it out what he say. I remember thee, the kindness of thy youth, the love of thy espousal, when thou went after me in the wilderness, in the land that was not sown. Israel was holiness, so they're keeping the law. The lie from the pits of hell. Israel was holiness unto the Lord, and the first fruit of his increase. All that devour him shall offend, even shall come upon them, said the Lord. So they was in unison with the Lord. They was keeping the law. And they loved him. They was running behind him. See that? 4. Hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of Israel, and all the families of the house of Israel. Thus said the Lord, what iniquity have your father found in me, that they are gone far from me, and have walked after vanity and are become vain. So how can you, if they at one time, if they walking in vanity and became vain, at one time they was walking right. They was keeping the law. So 6, neither said they, where is the Lord that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, that led us through the wilderness, through the land of deserts and of pits, and through a land of drought and of shadow of death, and through a land that no man passeth through, and where no man dwells. That's Sahara Desert. I brought you into a plentiful country to eat the fruit thereof and the goodness thereof. But when ye entered, ye defiled my land and made my heritage an abomination. The priest, there they go again, the suffering servant, said not, where is the Lord? And they that handle the law, see that? Handle the law, knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal, and walked after things that do not profit. So there goes your suffering servant all right there in that one verse, verse 8. The priest and the ones that keep the law, the pastors, that's the kings, all also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied to Baal and walked in after things that do not profit. Okay, it says, wherefore I will yet plead with you, says the Lord, and with your children's children will I plead. For pass over the isles of Chittim and see, and send unto Kedar, and consider diligently, and see if there be a thing. How the nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods, but my people have changed their glory for that which do not profit. So see that, there we go again. So they changed their glory. So at one time, they were dealing with the Lord. They had 100% embraced him and was keeping the law. But he said they changed their glory. So they ain't adding up with what they tell you in the New Testament. It says, 12, be astonished, O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be ye very desolate, said the Lord. For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, that's the tree of life, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that cannot hold no water. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? The young lions roared upon him and yelled, and they made his land waste. His cities are burned without inhabitants. Also, the children of Nut and Topham have broken the crown of thy head. Hast thou not procured this unto thyself, in that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy God when he led thee by the way? So let's shed a light on this, because this is one of the things I was telling you about, how when they took out the book of Enoch and all that, you're not getting a picture of what's actually going on. Like I just showed you, he told them the princes of kingdoms of the north was going to come, and they was going to set up at the gate, entering in the gate of Jerusalem. But them princes right here, them giants, those 7 princes that came from Babylon, they giants. So let's look at chapter 2, verse 16. Also, the children of Nut and Topham have broken the crown of the head. So who is these children of Nut? And I'm not probably saying this word right. Tophanim. So let's look at it. I'm in Ezekiel chapter 19. Okay. Chapter 19 of Ezekiel right quick. We go back where we was at. Chapter 19. Okay. Chapter 19. Let me see if I'm in the right place. Yeah. It says, moreover, this is a lamentation for the princes of Israel. Moreover, take thou up the lamentation for the princes of Israel, and say, what is thy mother? Okay. Let me see if I'm right there. Take a minute to get there with this. Okay. Okay. Yeah, here it is, chapter 30. It's been a minute since I dealt with this. Chapter 30 of Ezekiel. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord God, how ye woe or worth the day. The day is near, even the day of the Lord is near. A cloudy day, it shall be the time of the heathen. The heathen. So the Gentile, I told you the Gentiles are. In Genesis chapter 10, the Gentiles is the European people, Cain descendants. And the heathen is these giants. They're the children of these giants. That's who the heathen is. So it says, and the day is near, even the day of the Lord is near, a cloudy day. It shall be, this verse 3, shall be, Ezekiel 30:3. It shall be a time of heat of the heathen, and the sword shall come upon Egypt. A great pain shall be in Ethiopia, when the slain shall fall in Egypt, and they shall take away her multitude and her foundation. So that's what I'm going to focus on, the foundation of Egypt. A multitude and her foundation shall be broken down. Ethiopia and Libya and all the mingled people, and Cud and the men of the land that is in league shall fall with them by the sword. Thus says the Lord, that they also that uphold Egypt shall fall, right? And the pride of her power shall come down. From the tower of Serene shall they fall in by the sword, says the Lord God. And they shall be desolate in the midst of the countries that are desolate. And the cities shall be in the midst of the cities that are wasted. And they shall know that I am the Lord when I have set a fire in Egypt. And when all her helpers shall be destroyed. In that day shall messengers go forth from me in ships to make the careless Ethiopians afraid, and great pain shall come upon them in the day of Egypt. For lo, it cometh. This is why Egypt is, in the predicament it's in right now. Thus says the Lord God, I will also make the multitude of Egypt to cease by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. He and his people with him, the terrible of the nations. See that's these giants. The terrible of the nations shall be brought to destroy the land. That's what I showed you. That's what came to the gate. 7 princes that came to the gate, these mighty men. And they shall draw their swords against Egypt and fill the land with slain. And I will make the rivers dry and sell the land into the hands of the wicked. And I will make the land waste and all that is therein by the hand of strangers. I, the Lord, have spoken it. Thus says the Lord God, I will also destroy the idols and will cause their images to cease out of Nuke. They're going to Nuke right here. And there shall be no more a prince of the land of Egypt, these giants. And I will put a fear in the land of Egypt. And I will make the Petros desolate. And I will set fire to Zoan. So when you go do your research on Zoan, that's where these giants, probably some fallen angels was there. That's the foundation of Egypt right here, Zoan. That's where these giants is at. That's where they're getting their counseling. It's going to tell you that in a minute. It said, I will set a fire to Zoan, and I will execute judgment in No, and I will pour my fury upon sin, the strength of Egypt. See that? So when you go do your research, you're going to find out. You don't hear nothing about this when you're doing Egypt, when you're doing your research, when you're doing the history on Egypt. You don't hear about this. This is the foundation of Egypt right here. Zoan, Sin, Nu, and these cities right here. And I will cut off the multitude of No, and I will set fire in Egypt. Sin shall have great pain, and No shall be rendered asunder, and Nu shall have distresses daily. The young men of Avon and the I can't say that word, shall fall by the sword, and the city shall go into captivity. And Topham, there it is. Also, the day shall be darkened, when I will break their yoke of Egypt, and the pump for her strength, and shall cease in her. As for her, a cloud shall cover her, and her daughters also shall go into captivity. So these are giants. This is the strength of Egypt. Like I said, this is where these fallen angels came down here. They went to Mount Hermon, but they don't want you to know that. But they went to Mount Hermon, and then from Mount Hermon, they went to Egypt. But that's all that's been erased because they're trying to lead you to JC in the New Testament. And that's why I took the book of Enoch out, because the book of Enoch explained all that. Okay? So let me get back over where I was at. Just want to shine a light on that. Where was I at? Okay, I'm start at chapter 2, verse 19. Thine own wickedness shall correct thee, and thy backsliding shall reprove thee. Know therefore and see that it is an evil thing and bitter that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy God, and that my fear is not in thee, saith the Lord God of hosts. For the old times I have broken thy yoke and burst thy bands, and thou saidst, I will not transgress. When upon every high hill and under every green tree thou wanderest, plain hearted, dealing with these other angels, fallen angels, and these giants. Yet I have planted thee a noble vine, holy and right seed. How then art thou turned into a degenerate plant of a strange vine under me? For though thou wash thee with nitro and take thee much soap, yet thine iniquity is marked before me, says the Lord God. How can thou say, I am not polluted? I have not gone after Balaam. See, thy way is in the valley. Know what thou hast done. Thou art a swift drummery, transversing her ways. A wild ass used to the wilderness to snuff up the wind at her pleasure. In her occasion, you can turn her away. All they that seek her will not weary themselves in her mouth. They shall find her. In her month they shall find her, right? Withhold thy foot from being unshod, and thy throat from thirst. For thou saidst, there is no hope. No, for I have loved strangers, and after them will I go. After the thief is ashamed when he is found, so is the house of Israel ashamed. They, their kings, here we go again, he goes to servant and servant. Their kings, their princes, their priests, and their prophets. They go to servant and servant right there. 27, saying to the stock, thou art my father, and to the stone, thou hast brought me forth. For they have turned their backs unto me, and not their face. But in the time of their trouble, they will say, arise and save us. But where are thy gods that thou hast made thee? Let them arise, that they can save thee in the time of thy trouble. For according to the number of thy cities are thy gods of Judah. So this is Judah. Got all this idol worship going on. 29. Wherefore will ye plead with me? Ye all have transgressed against me, saith the Lord. In vain have I smitten your children. They receive no correction. Your own sword have devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. O generation, see ye the word of the Lord. I have and said, have I been a wilderness unto Israel, a land of darkness? Wherefore say my people, we are lords. We will come no more unto thee. Can a maid forget her ornaments, or a bride her attire? Yet my people have forgotten me, days without number. Why trimmeth thou the way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. Also in thy skirt is found the blood of the souls of the poor innocent. I have not found it by secret search, but upon all these. Yet thou sayest, because I am innocent, surely his anger shall turn from me. Behold, I will plead with thee, because I said, I have not sinned. So what they're doing is sacrificing their children. And then not only that, they took the laws, statutes, and judgments and our culture, the culture that was given to them, gave it to showed it to the heathen, and incorporated child sacrifice with it. That's what he's talking about when he says, go back, 32. Can a maid forget their ornaments, or a bride her attire? Yet my people have forgotten me, days thou in. Why trimmest thou the way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. Yeah. Okay. 35. Yet thou said, But because I am innocent, surely his anger shall turn from me. Behold, I will plead with thee, because thou sayest, I have not sinned. Why gettest thou about so much to change thy way? Thou also shalt be ashamed of Egypt, as thou art ashamed of Assyria. Yea, thou shalt go forth from him, and thy hands upon thy head, for the Lord hath rejected thy confidences, and thou shalt not prosper in them. So that was Jeremiah chapter 2. Anybody got any comments on what they heard? Anything ring a bell? Okay, chapter 3. Judah turns from the Lord. They say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him, and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not thy land be greatly polluted? But thou shalt play the harlot, and many lovers, yet return again to me, said the Lord. Lift up thine eyes unto the high places, and see where thou hast been lain with. In the ways hast thou set for them as the Arabian in the wilderness, and thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness. So he told him, look, you want to know what you're doing when you're seeing that? It's in the high places. I told you what that was. Those are altars. They make it up in the mountains, because that's where these fallen angels at, up in these mountains. So that's where Moses found the Lord of hosts at, up on the mountain, in a high place. It says 3. Therefore the shower have been withholding, it's the rain, and there have been no latter rain, and thou had a horrid forehead, thou refusest to be ashamed. Wilt thou not from this time cry unto me, my father, thou art the guide of my youth? Will he reserve his anger forever? Will he keep it to the end? Behold, thou hast spoken and done evil things as thou couldest. The Lord said also unto me in the days of Josiah the king, hast thou seen that which backslidden Israel have done? She has gone up upon every high mountain and under every green tree, and there have played the harlot. I said, after she had done all these things, turn ye not unto me. Turn thou unto me. But she returned not, and her treacherous sister Judah saw it. And I saw when for all the causes whereby backslidden Israel committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a bill of divorcement. Yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not, but went and played the harlot also. And it came to pass through the lightness of her whoredoms that she defiled the land and committed adultery with the stones and with the stocks. And yet for all this, her treacherous sister Judah have not turned unto me with her whole heart, but fiendingly saith the Lord. And the Lord said unto me, the backslidden Israel have justified herself more than treacherous Judah. Go and proclaim these words toward the north, and say, return thou backslidden Israel, saith the Lord, and I will not cause mine anger to fall upon you, for I am merciful, saith the Lord, and I will not keep anger forever. Only acknowledge thine iniquity, that thou hast transgressed against the Lord thy God, and hast scattered thy ways to the stranger under the green tree, and ye have not obeyed my voice, saith the Lord. Turn, O backslidden children, saith the Lord, for I am married unto you, and I will take you, one of a city, two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion, and I will give you pastors according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. And it shall come to pass, when ye be multiplied and increased in the land, in those days, said the Lord, they shall say no more, the ark of the covenant of the Lord, neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it, neither shall that be done any more. At that time, they shall call Jerusalem the throne of the Lord, and all the nations shall be gathered unto it, to the name of the Lord, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk any more after the imagination of their evil hearts. In those days, the house of Israel shall walk with the house of the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers. But I said, how shall I put thee among the children and give thee a pleasant land and a goodly heritage for the host of nations? And I said, thou shalt call me my father, and shall not turn away from me. Surely a wife treacherously departed from her husband, so have ye treacherously with me, dealt treacherously with me, O house of Israel, said the Lord. A voice was heard upon the high places, weeping and supplication of the children of Israel, for they have perverted their way, and they have forgotten the Lord their God. So right here in verse 20, when it says 21, when they're weeping, that's from Nimrod, Tomaz, son, Nimrod, Samanthras, and Topaz. Nimrod's son was Tomaz, and they would. That's what you see today with when they had the funerals. They call them professional mourners. They come to don't even know the person, but they come dressed in black and the veil on, and all that, crying all over the place. You don't even know the person. So that's where all that coming from to today. You got people that just come to the funeral and cry, mourning, but it started with this Tamaz, Tammus. It's Nimrod's son that he had supposed to be by his own mother. Nimrod married his own mother. Okay, so keep going. You'll see that again. And anytime you see that weeping and supplication, that's tied to Tamaz, and Nimrod. 22. Return you back to the children, and I will heal your backsliding. Behold, we come unto thee, for thou art the Lord our God. Truly in vain is salvation, hoped for from the hills and from the multitude of the mountains. Truly in the land our God is the salvation of Israel. For shame have devoured the labor of our fathers from my youth. Their flocks and their herds. There we go right here. The flocks and the herds. Woe, lie down in our shame, and our confusion covers us. For we have sinned against the Lord our God, we and our fathers, from our youth even unto this day, and have not obeyed the voice of the Lord our God. Okay. Anybody have comments? So let me shine a light on something right quick. I was telling you about Isaiah, Genesis 15, the prophecy, the 400-year prophecy. It was given to Moses. It was given to Abraham. So Abraham died. So he was talking about they hadn't been in Egypt yet. And the way in hell he talked about America. The prophecy that he gave him was that he was going to pass away, and his people was going to go into, his descendants was going to go into Egypt. That's when Jacob and the 70 souls went into Egypt. And while they was there, they multiplied. Then he said he was going to come out with great substance. He ain't talking about, you're not prophesying to Abraham and skipping over Egypt. That's one of the major events in our history of the people. So he ain't skipping over that. He telling Abraham about Egypt. So you say, why are you saying that? Why are you telling me that? So let's go right here. Jeremiah is prophesying to them about Nebuchadnezzar coming. So what happens after Nebuchadnezzar comes? They're going to return back to the land of Israel. So let's look at that. Jeremiah ain't talking about, ain't going to skip over no history. Jeremiah is the prophet to warn them about Babylon, and then after Babylon, they coming back. Just like what he did with Moses, with Abraham. So if you go to Genesis, go to Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 16. It says, keep in mind, Jeremiah was there to prophesy that Nebuchadnezzar was coming. And then he said, after Nebuchadnezzar do what he's going to do because of their sin, he's going to bring them back. So same thing, you can look at that template, it's the same thing getting ready to happen now. So he says, Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 16, and it shall come to pass. See that? Not no time 4,000 years later. They in Babylon, they going to Babylon. Then he says, and it gonna come to pass when ye be multiplied and increase in the land in those days, said the Lord, they shall say no more the ark of the covenant of the Lord, neither shall it come to the mind, neither shall I remember Assyria took the 10 tribes, and Nebuchadnezzar took the southern kingdom. And when Cyrus came on the scene, all Israel was under his control. Not just the southern kingdom, he got control of all 12 kingdoms, all 12 tribes. So he says, the ark of the covenant of the Lord, neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it, neither shall that be done anymore. Here you go, 17. And at that time, they shall call Jerusalem a throne of the Lord, and all the nations shall be gathered unto it, to the name of the Lord, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk any more after the imagination of their evil hearts. In those days, the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north. Well, what did he say? Who was coming? Who was coming to, Jeremiah said, coming to destroy Jerusalem? Nebuchadnezzar out of the north. So he's just telling you right here, after Nebuchadnezzar take them back to the north, and they do the 70 years, he says, in those days, the house of Judah, chapter 3, verse 18. In those days, the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel. All of them is in Cyrus told all of them to go back. And they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that they have given for an inheritance unto their fathers. See that? So like I said, all of a sudden, the land of the north can change? No. The land of the north is Nebuchadnezzar, the Chaldeans. That's where they in captivity at. So 17. That ain't where we at now. So 19. But I said, how shall I put thee among the children and give thee a pleasant land, a goodly heritage of the host of nations? And I said, thou shalt call me my father, and shall not turn away from me. So we see right here, Jeremiah, a prophet, telling them they're going to go into captivity. After the captivity, they're coming out. This ain't got nothing to do with today. But you can look at it and see how God works. But he ain't talking about no today. He's talking about delivering them out of Egypt. He sent them there because of their sins. Once the sin is done, and they paid the punishment, he brought them out. And like I said, Syria is under control of Nebuchadnezzar, just like, under control of Cyrus, just like Judah was under control of Nebuchadnezzar until Cyrus came. And Cyrus came, took possession of all 12 tribes and told them to go back. Okay. So with that being said, anybody got any comments about something they heard tonight, or something they want to, or they memory refresh them and they want to talk about it? Good. Okay, everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, and I'll see everybody. We got the women's night tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I'll see y'all then. The men can come in through YouTube. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.